Hey, thanks for taking a walk with me. I feel like we really broke through the slog a little bit this past week with little morning daylight and with Halloween, with the joy of kids in costumes. I just wonder at this point, what are you just totally over with? And could you imagine that part of your life if it were brand new again? I think part of the joy and the breakthrough in my own self this week is that my parents came to visit for the first time in a year, and it was good to be with them. And they introduced me to a show on Netflix called The Repair Shop, where they take precious, treasured old things and they make them new again, like old toys and sweet boats on the water. And that's what came to mind when I read the passage today in 2 Corinthians 5 about when we are in Christ, when you're in relationship with Jesus, bam, he makes new. He takes what's old and he makes it new. Have you considered that Jesus might be a way out of what's old, out of what you're over, and that Jesus might be the way into new life? That's what I want to explore today. I know we're all looking for a way out of the slog of 2020. We're looking to the election, we're looking to the next vacation, to a new exercise routine, to crystals. I've heard it all. And our passage is promising us a way out of the slog. And the way out is in relationship. Just like being around the kids at Halloween was a pep in my step. We are made for relationship. And Jesus is at the center of experiencing the whole world new. Listen to these phrases from 2 Corinthians. They're all centered around Christ, around it's a title for Jesus, the Messiah. That's what it says. It says, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Through Christ, God reconciled us to himself. In Christ, God was reconciling the world. We are ambassadors for Christ. We implore you on behalf of Christ. It all centers around Jesus. Why? Well, because we believe that Jesus revealed to us who God is. And God is the key to it all. We, as human beings, have an innate, eternal desire to understand why we were created, to be connected to the greatest power in the world, to be loved. And the source of the love and the power and the understanding is in the one who formed us all, God. Jesus is at the center, bringing us back to God because he is God in the flesh. And we were prevented from being close to God who loved us and created us and made us, because we are not as holy as God. And don't we want a God who is perfect and holy and perfectly loving and perfect in his judgments and perfect in his understanding? The first step into the Christian life is to acknowledge that we are not that person. We need someone outside of us who is holy and perfect. What 2 Corinthians reveals to us is that Jesus made the way for us to be perfect. It said, God made him sin who knew no sin, that we might become the righteousness of God. God put on Jesus all of the shame of our lives, all of the ways that we wish we had it all together. Takes our anxieties and our depression, our loneliness, and he put it on Christ so that he might give to us in this tremendous exchange love and perfection and goodness and relationship. He did this in Christ, in Jesus. So it's all centered around him. When you're with Jesus, you're made new and you're perfectly reconciled, reconnected with God. And when you're reconnected with God and no longer carrying around shame and hurt and loneliness and lack of purpose, guess what? You get to turn around and give that to others. Paul says that he's an ambassador for God, that he knows what it is to be with God, and now he's able to turn and to say to others on God's behalf, come, be united with God, be reconciled to him. This restoration of relationship is the answer to the slog, because it's the restoration of joy and of peace. I got to experience the truth of his reconciliation this week. I really hurt myself. This is the most I've been walking in a couple days. Just, scooping out that giant pumpkin, and then picked up the dishwasher and just totally ripped my back open. And so I have had to live for a couple days completely unproductive and in great need of others' help, and in an inability to be fulfilled in a lot of things I normally find fulfilling, being a good mom and wife and coworker. And instead I've been totally dependent. And I suspect that if you've ever watched these Walk With Me's before, you'll see even today more of a spark of joy in me. And that's because of this time of rest and need being another point of reconciliation for me with God, and becoming comfortable with my dependency on him. This is longer than I have for this Walk With Me, but I've been doing counseling work in this personality profile called the Enneagram. And one of the things that it was saying was that when you are aligned with God and fully functioning in your personality, then you know your status as someone who's loved, as a daughter, as a son of the King. When you're misaligned, you're operating out of your own strength. And when you're out of alignment, you're actually acting like an orphan who has to control and do life for yourself. No one's going to provide for you. But the way of being reconciled to God in Jesus is his provision that you are cared for, that he has brought you to himself, that you do belong, that you do have purpose, and that's not something that you have to earn or prove over and over again. Because when you are with Jesus, you are made new. Bam, new creation. This is the hope of Jesus for you. And I hope it gets in your soul today, that Jesus has made a way for you to be new, to be fully connected to the Father, to access the power and the love and the purpose of the Creator of the world. And so be with Jesus and be new. From now on, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come. All this is from God, who through Christ reconciled us to himself and gave us the ministry of reconciliation. That is, in Christ, God was reconciling the world to himself, not counting their trespasses against them, and entrusting to us the message of reconciliation. Therefore, we are ambassadors for Christ, God making his appeal through us. We implore you, on behalf of Christ, be reconciled to God. If you're feeling less sloggy after listening to this message, I bet somebody else in your life would too. So be sure to click the bell to subscribe, share this, like this page, and go for a walk and see what God has to say to you today.